Look at these couple of fucking goofs. We're going to get going here. Oh, that doesn't work. You can probably hear that, but it's not fucking
I don't
working.
hear shit.
No. Got to go live, apparently. There we go. Whoop.
Whoa.
Look at that. I made that.
What?
Yeah. It's taking forever. Hopefully it's not this glitchy when we play it. Sean's falling asleep. Fucking geriatric Sean.
Yeah. So, you're kind of a big deal. Who the fuck are you?
Ryan Gagne.
Oh yeah. Ryan Gagne. I got a video I'm trying to play, but fuck it. Probably didn't upload.
Oh, Dave. You're the white bread of this operation.
I'm the only one bringing the bread. I'm bankrolling this whole fucking thing.
Sweet. E-transferring my money.
Oh. Yeah, who the fuck are you, Ryan?
Huh?
Who the fuck is Ryan Gagne? Is that French or Italian?
French. Pretty sure it's French, but yeah. Okay. Don't speak that shit anymore.
But you talk shit.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Well, nice. You'll fit in great with us.
Yeah, perfect.
Hopefully there's enough airspace here for us all to breathe. I think we should start out. Not everybody will know you. There's probably about 5 people out there who don't know who you are. Why don't you give us a little background about like where you started? I always like to know people's route into tattooing. Like, how did you get into it? And, what was it like?
Shit. Here we go.
Don't forget the part where you started as a piercer.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Piercer.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
I actually met Sean when I was 18. And my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, she started doing like counter girl stuff at the shop. So we went in there and I talked to him about putting a Sacred Heart on my calf with wings. And that was the first time I met Sean. But Sean left before I got there. And I started.
Yeah, I was just guest spotting at that.
Yeah, you were kind of just like helping her out.
Yeah, it's coming and going. Yeah.
Well, you had a friend there, Christy, right?
Yeah.
But so once I got there, Sean wasn't there anymore, and I started piercing. Thanks for that, Sean. I always say, I always like to say I was helping out doing other stuff, but I was. Fuck. And I did that for like...
Oh, you got to own it.
Yeah. Sean made me a really nice flash set. We repainted all my shit, but it was all like pierced dicks and fucking clits and stuff like that.
Like I straight traced his flash set, and anything I could change into like a piercing needle or like a barbell or a piercing ring. I did. So when I first handed it to him, he was like, "Oh yeah," and then he was like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
Yeah. So I did that, I don't know, like a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years. And we were just kind of bored at the shop one day, and the owner, we're just sitting at the desk fucking around. And she said, "Do you want to learn how to tattoo?" And I was fucking bored with piercing. And I was just like, yeah, sure, why not type thing. And that's kind of how it started. Like, I'm not like one of those kids who are like, my whole dream was to tattoo. I had never even considered it.
Oh, that's a new thing anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you hear now is like they wait their whole lives to learn how to tattoo and whatever. But yeah, and I started there, and she wanted me tattooing people after about a week, which sucked because I couldn't even draw, and I was too nervous to do it. So I kept putting it off. And then after about 6 months of like tattooing myself and my wife and friends and shit, a customer came in and she said, "If you don't do this tattoo, you're fired." So that was my first paying customer. So, and I saw her like 9 years later, actually, and it wasn't that fucking bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't that fucking bad.
Yeah. What year was that, Ryan?
Well, I started July 2nd, 2007.
Okay, what province?
Alberta and Calgary, yeah. Yeah, it's not far from where my shop is now, actually.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
because I was guest spotting there in 05.
Yeah.
Late 05.
Yeah, that
Okay.
lines up.
So when I met you, you were like serious as a fucking heart attack about tattooing.
Yeah.
You didn't have a sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
Like you do now.
Yeah.
I'm really curious what happened.
You want to know the God honest truth? Is I was worried about
Yeah, of course.
wrong shit. I was worried about all wrong shit. Yeah. You know, it sounds dumb now that I say it, but I spent the majority of my career, like, you know, I looked up to all these guys and you know, I always heard how they talked about new tattooers, and it was never good. You know, they were always fucking dicks about it, which is fine. I get it. But my whole goal was to not get lumped in with those new tattooers. I want to work harder. I want to do better tattoos. And so I can, like, again, this sounds fucking stupid, earn a seat at the table with those guys.
Yeah, I think that's every new tattooer, right?
Yeah. And then you realize once you get to the table that a lot of them are fucking dickheads. And that's something you shouldn't fucking worry about at all.
No.
So
no.
I like to think that I've lightened up a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot. I used to be a fucking dickhead when it came to how I did my tattoos. But yeah, I think it's just more fun now. And it's more about just like the experience with the person than it is like the rest of the bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of tattooers evolve to. It's always interesting to find out how people got there. Like,
yeah,
like with myself, I had to go through bout after bout of burnout and, you know, borderline depression in order to figure out that, oh, I'm probably taking this shit too seriously. It's important to be serious, but it's not life engulfing and life.
No, I mean, like,
as
I think that realization that, like, we're just putting colorful scabs on people. We're not saving the fucking world. Like, put a smile on someone's face, do a good job, good time.
Sean's saving the world.
Yeah, he's fucking trying to. Actually, Sean was a big reason why I had to lighten up. Is he would call me out when we worked together at Classic, and you know, like, it was a lot of my own like personal shit where I was like, you know, I mean, you still deal with it where you do a tattoo and it's never good enough. You know, you look at the picture later and you're like, fuck, you know, I could have done this better or whatever. But I was portraying that online. And it made me look like a fucking big asshole. And Sean called me out one day. You know, I remember this tattoo I did, and the caption I put was, "I'm fairly happy with this tattoo." And it's like, fuck, if I was a customer and my tattooer said that, I'd be fucking bummed.
Totally.
Yeah. So there's a lot of times Sean kind of checked me like that, which helped a lot. Actually, helped a lot, just to kind of relax and just have fun with it. You know.
Yeah, I think when you
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think when you realize that there's a person on the other side of that tattoo machine, and they're the ones who are paying for the whole experience and making your job even possible. Once you get that kind of flip in your brain, I think it's easier to have that kind of attitude about, oh, okay, it's not about fucking me.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and I mean, we've all done it, and you know, we've all had like bouts with ego and stuff, but yeah, I'm glad I kind of learned that sooner than later.
Yeah, Ryan's biggest problem when we were together at Classic Tattoo is that he was like portraying this over humbleness, and it's like, dude, that's a really good fucking tattoo. Like, just post it. If you don't like it, take it down later, but don't make some bullshit edit or whatever. Yeah. One thing that Ryan doesn't show a lot of people, and to me has always been very exciting, as even when he portrayed himself as the most serious, fucking uptight, stick in the ass, fucking like old man tattooer, he would tattoo anything that came through the door really without complaint. A woman came in, she wanted black silhouette birds, except she wanted them the size of her hand.
Full back, 5 of them.
5 all across her back. And he was just like, hell yes. You know, it didn't matter what he was doing. I guest spotted at Stronghold when he first opened, and he did this really sick fucking, you know, animal portrait for somebody. And then his 2 appointments after that was, you know, the heartbeat going into the heart. And they were so chatty and excited. And Ryan's always been super engaging with his clients that way. And that's also how I see he was always out engaging with his clients that way. And then he would post something like that online. And I was just like, dude, you can't do that because it seems like you're being super fake because you're so personable with your clients, right? Like you could sell anything to them. They are so comfortable with you, and then they leave and then they see you post this and it's like, I get it. You don't want to have an ego. You want to be humble, but you got to pull back a little bit because it's not coming across authentic, you know?
So a big thing
he still doesn't post like, shit.
Even if you're not happy with the tattoo, you know, 24 hours, 48 hours later, like as long as it's the best you can do right now, it's the best tattoo you could have done. Like as long as you give it everything. Yeah. Once I kind of figured that out, like just fucking let it go. Like do your best and give them a good time.
Well, let's be honest. I was just down there and I'm flipping through tracings that are on his wall. I'm like, oh, when are you starting this? Oh, it's done. When are you starting this? Oh, it's done. Why haven't you posted anything? Well, and he shows me this back piece that has like this one kind of spot where he's just like, I can't post that. He's like Rob Hope in that way, where it's like, just can't, there's something about it. You know, he may end up posting it or whatever, but he's got to get over that thing that he is so hyper focused on. But that's what makes you like such a great tattooer, and like just what you do and the excellence that you're able to consistently do it. That's why you can do that, because you care about that stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
too much.
You really,
I care about that shit too much. It'll fucking kill me one day, but totally.
That in your, you know, original Joe's double hot dogs with no condiments.
Hey man, it was two original chicken sandwiches from BK today, so
any condiments?
Only ketchup mayo. I don't eat rabbit food.
All right. Yeah. So just a quick jump back on the whole piercing thing. Being a piercer for that time, would you say that had an influence as why you hate The Big Lebowski so much?
It's a shit movie. Fuck, man.
Wow.
Okay, here we go. It's fine the first 12 times. It's fine the first 12.
Oh.
Anything after that, I can't fucking do it. I think I've watched that movie maybe once at Valdoin's when I was there. Maybe, but I haven't watched that movie since I left Classic.
Oh.
No.
Not missing much. I agree with you.
Yeah,
it's a good movie, but it ain't that great. People like fucking whack shit. It's okay.
Especially the old man on the other side.
Hey, calm down, Pitch Perfect.
So,
it's the greatest movie of all time. Shut your fucking mouth. You love it too.
I know, dude. Remember when I sent you the picture of Pitch Perfect 3? Like,
yes.
Is this just going to be inside joke after inside joke?
Yeah.
Come on.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. You guys got a lot of those.
Yeah.
All right. So you've worked at a bunch of different shops. I'm really curious what you learned from those shops that you took into your own shop. You know, when you open your own space, it's really about making a space you like working in. But what do you bring from those other shops? What did you pick up that you still have with you today? What skills or ideas?
Man, that's a really tough one. Because when I started my shop, my first shop, it was a whole lot of like, this is the shop. I want this to be the shop that I wanted to work in. So it was a lot of like, I don't want to do this, this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
There's a couple things here and there as far as like, you know, saving money and you know, different different techniques on how to like deal with certain customers. You know, like Government Street was a busy street shop, and you know, you'd get tourists coming in there, and you can't talk to the Americans the same way you do the local Victorians. You know, it's just not the same. So there's like little stuff like that, but I don't know. It was kind of like there was a whole lot of things that I didn't like working at other shops, where it was like, oh, you just did this convention, so you're not allowed to go to this one. Fuck that. Like, that's the beauty of this job. So anybody who works with me, I encourage it. Tell them, go out, do as many as you can, whatever. Like, it's not that big of a deal. There wasn't a ton of like positive things that I picked up, but it was just like, you know, certain environments were more toxic than others. You know, working with Valdoin, like just the consistency and the routine, like we locked up really great when I was there, because we're both the same like that. Like, this is what we do every single day, and you know, there's no waving from that. But there wasn't a ton, man. It was more so like picking up things as a tattooer from people. Like, you know, being at Classic, I always tell people that, like, I learned a lot of technical tattooing from Lucas, but I learned how to be a tattooer from Sean. You know, those to me are two totally different things. But as far as running a business, it's kind of like, I don't know. I didn't want to do what other people were doing because I didn't like what they were doing for the most part, you know?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. You know, talking about our good friend Headley here, I tell people all the time, all the lessons I learned about all the pitfalls of a tattooer, all the ego problems, and all the shit that the way you should treat a client, all that really good solid stuff.
Yeah,
I learned that in my apprenticeship from Sean. You know, like that stuff I still think about today. You know, people can teach you to tattoo, but to be a good person, like what your moral role is as a tattooer is another thing.
Well, and to give them a good experience. Like, I mean, there's 1,000,001 fucking tattooers out there. Like, to be honest, like, if you have anybody sitting in your chair, you're lucky. You know, like, they could just go down the street and go to somebody else. Like, if you don't give them, you know, most people don't want a good tattoo. They want a good experience. So, you know, have fun with them. Do your best and send them on their way. Like, you know, even if you're I've met so many people that are fucking the worst tattooers, but they have this charisma and they know how to talk to people that they always have them come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old Carney style tattooing, right?
Yeah, man. Like,
you can just talk anybody into,
yeah.
Like, people know that throwing the rings at the bottles is a losing game, but the dude that stands there and baits you into doing it has got the greatest personality. You just can't stop. And it's very similar to tattooing. You know what I mean? Like, King Len, doing a convention with King Len, man. Jesus. The shit that guy can get away with saying to somebody is, I'm just, if I said it, I'd get my teeth knocked out. But somehow that guy can say shit. And it's like, literally, you know, he'll just totally like demean a human being, some big dude, and he'll just like demean him. And the guy will be like, okay, man, I'll get tattooed. And it's just like, what?
Yeah. Well, it's a fine line, right?
Because
like,
it's just,
a fine line between, like,
and he can walk it.
Charismatic dickhead and just a dickhead. Like, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a fine line.
Yeah. When the client understands you're having fun with them, you know,
not at their expense. 100%.
Yeah. And so many people love that. I mean, that's why I came back to Sacred Heart, you know, day after day to get tattooed and hang out, was because I was getting abused, but I love the abuse, you know?
And, you know, one big thing that I've been doing, like, I mean, not really consciously, but I'm not quiet about, like, my wife and kids and stuff anymore. It's like, it's pretty much like all I want to talk about. And, you know, when you talk about your shit outside of tattooing, you become more personal with people. You become a human being. You're not just this, like, So, I mean, like,
absolutely.
And being able to carry a conversation about almost any subject helps a lot, whether you know a lot about it. But, like, you know, even sometimes those conversations don't involve you. They just want you to hear it.
Yeah, totally.
Shut the fuck up and listen.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they're having I think when you're marking somebody and they're going through the tattoo experience where you're hurting and stuff like that, anytime you open up, it helps you, right? So it's related to that tattoo experience. I think that's really, for most people, why they like coming back so much.
Yeah. Well, even if it's like a memorial tattoo and it's a bummer and it's helping them, like, even just a couple jokes kind of lightens it up for them, right? Like,
totally
makes it easier.
Yeah, it's such a crazy thing.
Let me just take it back a little bit, because we know where you started in Calgary.
Yeah.
No, and you know, you worked at a few different shops pretty quickly early on in your career and stuff like that. But what I'm curious about, what was your first guest spot, and how did you come about getting that guest spot?
Okay, so my very first guest spot was in Regina with a tattoo called Terry O. He's actually
yeah. He was in a bad bike accident, right?
Yeah. He's in Victoria.
Yeah. Okay.
So he had a shop. I think it was called In the Flesh, with this girl Lindsay and Topher, and I don't even know how the guest spot happened. I was tattooing a lot of guys from Regina that were playing in bands and stuff coming through. I used to do this thing where I'd sponsor bands with tattoos, so I'd tattoo them for free when they were in town, and then they'd take my cards and merch with them on the road. And hand them.
Smart.
Well, I mean, what else? There was not a lot of social media back then.
Yeah.
And I mean, all I knew, the guys getting tattooed were band guys. in hardcore and punk bands. So anyways, I think that's how it got linked up. Was I think they hooked me up with Terry O. And I went out there a couple times, and it was in this house, and like the upstairs where we were tattooing, you know, the floor wasn't level, so you'd be tattooing and your chair's kind of rolling off, you know. It was sick though, like it was super busy, and you know, I was doing like, you know, at the time I was really trying to figure out that whole like Derek Noble, Uncle Alan thing, you know. So those are all the
three small eyes.
Yeah, weird little tiny eyes, and like, you know, gaunt gray blue girl faces with a shitload of hair. And but yeah, that was my very first guest spot, was out in Regina. We drove out for that a couple times.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What kind of value do you find in guest spots?
Oh, I think it all depends on where you go, for one. There's some places I've gone where it was like, you know, it's I think you gotta go to one spot a couple times to really absorb anything. Quick trips don't really do it for me, but I like being around different tattooers and seeing it in person, because again, there's people who are doing tattoos that aren't posting online. But not only that, but seeing their process, because nobody shares their process on. Well, I mean, with reels, people do now, but not in depth.
You don't really get to see it.
No, and it was like,
really,
you know, one of my trips down to LA at like 1 a.m, we went to True Tattoo, and I got to meet Small Paul, and he's a super nice guy, but he's like, he's starting a tattoo, a back piece at 1:30 a.m. You know, so it's like, hey, what the fuck is going on? Because in the States, like, it's so different than here, right? And but
nobody works past 5 here.
Well, exactly, yeah. Well, and then we're standing outside, and all of a sudden, like, a windowless van rolls up, and the door opens, and there's neon lights everywhere. And my buddy Christian goes, "You need anything?" And it's a dude, a Chinese dude selling tattoo supplies out of a van at 1:30 a.m. He's just going around to the shops. But yeah, so I mean, like, you know, being able to stand there and watch Small Paul work on the back piece a little bit, it was like, okay, well, I got to try that. I like picking up tricks from other people to see if it'll work for me. And getting out of your environment. I think changing scenery is really fucking important.
Yeah. Of all the guest spots you've done, what's the one that you hold most dear, and why is that?
Spotlight. Nothing else even compares. Spotlight tattoo and being able to work and hang out with Bob was the one thing that changed everything for me. You know, I love Bob's work since before I even knew who the fuck he was. You know, at Body Ink, I'm tracing designs and pulling shit off of Tattoodles, because that was the only fucking reference point back then. You know?
Shout out, Adam Scott.
Yeah. But, you know, like,
shout out, Adam.
I still have all of them. I've kept every drawing, stencil, and photocopy I've ever done. And I still have them. And it was just tracing Bob's shit. I didn't know it was him, but there was some sort of power and impact in his work that hit me way more than everybody else. But yeah, being down there and being able to hang out with him and just watch him tattoo was the coolest shit ever. Nothing.
Okay, so like, Spotlight's a prolific shop.
Yeah.
Prolific people. Not a shop most young people would just decide to walk into.
No.
How did you... So it's easy to kind of figure out how you would have decided to go there, but how did you go around going there and then end up getting the guest spot there?
So I'll try to do a short version. So my wife...
we got lots of time. We got lots of time.
Okay, do the real version.
We want to hear it all.
That's fine.
No, do the real version.
Okay.
This is for people to learn how to do this.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So my wife used to drive down the coast to Coachella every year. And there we go. There it is. There it is. I was waiting for that. So it started when we were in Red Deer at class. And she started driving down there, and they asked me, like, oh, we want to stop somewhere in LA and get tattooed. Where should we go? And I said, Spotlight. Like, that was my only answer. So they went in there, and they got hooked up with a dude named Grant Cobb. I think he's out in Alabama now with his own shop. But they went there to get some tattoos, and, you know, Spotlight says, like, no pictures and all this shit. And my wife hates telling people I'm a tattooer. So she doesn't, I don't think she told him right away, but it somehow came up in conversation. And I don't know if Grant knew who I was or just looked at my Instagram at the time, but he was pretty stoked, and he was like, oh, send him a picture of this and send him a picture of that. So, I'm sitting at home and my wife's sending me pictures of the shop, and I'm like sitting there losing my mind. Like, this is the coolest shit ever right now, And he, I guess through tattooing her, he kind of brought up, yeah, he's a good tattooer. Like, if he wants to come work, like, he should come work. And I didn't really believe it, but I felt that I had to go in there and support the business first and meet them first. So me and my wife we flew down, and I set up an appointment to get tattooed by Grant. And that's when I first met him. And that's where I very first met Bob. Bob had just come in on his day off, and, he didn't look like he was in a super great mood, but I stood up and said, hey, Bob, my name's Ryan. I heard a lot about you, and it's a pleasure to meet you. And he just kind of grunted and shook my hand and left, But it was after me getting tattooed by Grant that I was like, okay, I think this offer is for real, and I should probably jump on it. I had kind of put it off for a while because honestly, I was too fucking nervous and didn't really feel like I deserved to work there. But I thought the offer was going to expire, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to jump on it. I'm going to head down. So I was talking with Grant, and he let me stay with him on my first guest spot. That's a whole nother story that I'm not going to tell on here, but
okay.
Yeah, I think Sean knows that story.
Often the best part about guest spots is the staying.
How tattooers have like that one great story? Some tattooers don't really have that, but that one is mine, and I fucking earned that story. And but anyways, it was so when I was staying with Grant, it was my rental car got fucked up, and I was taking the day before starting work to get it all sorted. And I was at the car rental place, and my buddy Christian called me, and he's like, dude, where the fuck are you? And I was like, I'm trying to figure out my rental car. I'm supposed to work tomorrow. He's like, Bob came in on his day off to meet you. You better get your ass down here. So I said, fuck, okay. So I'm with Grant, and I say, how far is the shop from here? Like, can I walk there? And he's like, it takes me usually 10, 15 minutes to skateboard. I was like, okay. So I start huffing it, and then I Google it, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to make it. So I had to get on the metro. Then I started walking again. I ended up taking a cab too, so it wasn't fucking close. Like, not even kind of close. He lived in the jewelry district in downtown LA, so it wasn't even fucking close. But so I ran into the shop with my backpack, and I'm sweating fucking bullets because I'm not used to the LA heat. And I burst into the door, and Bob's just sitting there, and he looks at me and he goes, so you're Ryan, huh? I was like, yeah. He's like, where are you from? Calgary. He's like, Calgary, hey? So do you know Paul? And then boom.
Of course.
And then boom, he just goes into the stories about coming up to Smiling Buddha, and I just sat down and caught my breath and just fucking drank it in, man. Like, yeah, Bob's the coolest motherfucker to me ever. He's my hero.
So for those listening, Bob Roberts,
yeah.
tattoo.
Yeah.
Paul Jeffries, Smiling Buddha tattoo.
Say Bob, people just fucking know, but yeah.
Yeah, you just never know nowadays.
Yeah,
it's a different world now.
Yeah.
It's not as small as it used to be.
Yeah. But
how many times did you go down?
I think I did 4, maybe 5 times. I'm pretty sure it was 4 though. Sure it was 4. And it was pretty cool. On one of the trips, me and Christian went over to Bob's house and hung out with him and bought some prints. And I got to see, that was the first time I saw his originals in person.
Wow.
And the sheer fucking size of them. Besides the imagery and the impact that his paintings and work has, the sheer size of them blew my fucking mind. Still to this day, like, I can't believe a human being painted those. It's not like, somebody will do like a 36-inch painting and they'll be like, oh, selling big prints. It's like, no, it's Bob crushed massive paintings. So I'm lucky enough to own one here in the shop. But, I also at his house, he had an original Burt Grimm sheet. And it had a bullet hole through it, and he told me some pretty cool stories about that when working on the Pike with Bob Shaw and stuff. So
people are going to think when they're like, what, did I miss something? Like there's like totally a fucking skip there.
There's a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah. Inside jokes commence now.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, for those of you watching or listening, wondering what the fuck happened, we recorded a lot of audio yesterday, and somebody, we won't say who, got dropped off. And so we had to redo it.
Fucking Gagne.
The scene.
The technology end of this is proving much more difficult than we anticipated.
Yeah.
Yes. It's hitting record and keeping it recording has been.
Oh, funny.
Awesome.
Oh, my. Well, yesterday where we left off, you were talking about being at Spotlight Tattoo.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I thought was really interesting, you talked about working with your heroes, and I'd asked you, how do you convince young people to chase the dream of working with their tattoo heroes?
Yeah, it was pretty much the same as we talked about. I mean, you can't really change their mind. They don't really talk about them in the same way we do. And yeah, like you ask a new tattooer who their favorite tattooer is, and they have to really sit and think about it. And I don't know.
Do you think part of that is because there's so many tattooers now? Like,
yeah.
I mean, you could pick. It's easier to pick a genre of tattooing now than it is a tattooer.
100%, absolutely 100%. I don't know. It's just like when I started, like when you saw certain tattooers and you saw their work, you were just like fucking blown away. You know, like because a lot of people were pulling out shit that you hadn't seen before. You know, and now it's still happening, but it's definitely a lot more rare. But yeah, you don't really see a whole lot of new tattooers coming out like you used to. That's just like blowing your hair back. But
well, as a young tattooer, how do you settle on a tattoo hero? Like, you know, if there's so many artists out there and it's hard to pick just one. I mean, you have to pick somebody to align yourself with and to set your goals on. How do you do that? Like, how did you do it? What was it about, you know, Bob Roberts and Lance McClain that just, you know, lit you up?
Well, I mean, Bob's work was like, I don't know, there was this like strength and power behind it. And then the deeper I started diving, like once I found out who he was and I started really looking into his work, again, there wasn't a whole lot of internet tattoo reference or photos, any of that stuff. So like, I think that probably has a lot to do with it too, is when you find something, it was really special because it was hard to find. Now everything's so fucking in your face all the time. It feels watered down. But with Bob's work, it didn't look like anybody else's. You know, it was all based off of the same shit, but it had this power and this strength. And then when you start diving in and you start seeing the kind of folky stuff he was doing too, it didn't look like anybody else's. But in my head, it looked better than everybody else's.
How does someone that works in a genre like traditional American genre like yourself or Bob Roberts or these people you're talking about, how do you differentiate yourself and put something into it that makes it look different? Like, you know, Ryan Halter comes to mind. His stuff is traditional, but it's so out there and different. You can tell his stuff a mile away. It doesn't look like anybody else's. Yeah. Or Mike Mendez in Vancouver, same thing.
Yeah.
Totally original look to his stuff. How do you go about that? How did you go about doing that yourself?
In all honesty, for me, it got to a point, I was doing a convention, and, you know, when I started tattooing and started doing conventions, no one had line drawing books out. Everyone took appointments. Everyone sat there drawing all fucking weekend. And now you go to every booth, everyone's got a line drawing book. So I was doing the rounds at the convention, looking at people's stuff, and it was very obvious who bought the latest book that came out. Because every single person had the same traced images. And it was kind of a bummer, honestly. You know, like, it's one thing to, like, take an old design and put a spin on it and kind of refresh it a little bit. But nobody did that. Everyone was tracing the exact same shit. Everyone was doing the exact same tattoos. And it was a fucking bummer. And there was one point in the convention, I had an original sheet hanging in a local shop. And someone had traced my image, put it on their booth to tattoo. They were too busy to do it themselves, so somebody else got to do it. And by that time, they had no idea it was fucking even my thing. And I'm standing over and watching them do the tattoo, and they have no clue. And it really fucking bummed me out. So it was like, okay, well, it was at that moment when I got home, it's like, okay, I don't want my shit to look like everybody else's. Like, how can I separate that? Like, add movement, add more power. And like some of the guys I look up to, it's all based on the same stuff. But, you know, if you don't give it some sort of love and you're just rehashing the same shit, I felt like I was getting bored with the 3-color, you know, fucking giant line traditional shit. So I'll still do it if people want it, but it's not what I do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Josh Bovinder, I think his color palette kind of influenced you a little bit too.
Yeah, I was, you know, like
that real bright stuff.
We were speaking online a little bit, and you know, he seems like a nice guy, and I really like the stuff that he's doing because, you know, he's taking some cool ideas and doing his own thing with it. Like the fucking, you know, panther heads with the hearts inside. Like we never saw that before. Yeah. And
no, now it's everywhere.
Leave it to fucking tattooers. Like once a cool thing comes out, boom, it explodes and everyone latches onto it, whether it was their idea or not.
Yeah. 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 Like the old 4-eyed lady heads.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys can hear that. They're doing some snow blowing outside.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice and sunny here.
Shut up.
I can't hear a fucking word you guys are saying right now.
Do you want me to speak louder?
Jesus Christ.
I think you should go kick their ass. I think you should tell them, you know, you're doing a serious thing here.
Yeah, no shit. Give me a second.
And there he goes. Ryan's going to go fucking fuck these guys up. Hopefully we can catch it.
I hope he comes back in with that blower.
I hope it's still going.
Yeah.
Guy's like, fuck you, I got a job to do.
What?
Yeah.
I couldn't bring myself to say anything. He's doing his fucking job.
Big tough tattoo guy.
Yeah.
Hey, have a good day.
What am I going to do? You shut the fuck up. I'm talking to two guys on a podcast. Gives a shit.
Their second podcast.
Yeah.
So it's so important.
Hey man, I think we have like 297 views on our first one.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. That's like everyone you know and their wives.
That's everyone Sean knows.
That's actually I watched it 97 times.
There you go.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Apologize to anyone listening for their eardrums right now. Sean Headley.
Yeah,
put his lips right on the
microphone.
He's so excited about a big black hard
sorry
object
about
in front
this,
of him. No, it's okay. You were talking about Lance McClain as well yesterday. Now, I'm not as knowledgeable about old timer tattooers as I would like to be, but Lance McClain was somebody that was in my blind spot.
Yeah.
I hate to, but I did a little bit of research and found out he was Rollo's apprentice. He ended up with Rollo's shop.
Yep.
He's now retired, and he did a really amazing style of traditional. It really kept true to Jerry's way, but it was also his own. It wasn't exactly like Jerry's at all.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that and about him?
Yeah. So Lance, I never got to work with Lance or anything like that, but we were out in Hawaii, and I made a point to go book a tattoo with him. And it took a lot of convincing, even just to get my wife to drive down to the shop with me, just to see if I could get tattooed. She fucking hates hanging out in tattoo shops. And so I was like, I'm just going to be quick. I'm just going to be super quick. And we ended up sitting there talking with Lance for about 3.5 hours. And he's one of the coolest motherfuckers I've had the pleasure of hanging out with. The slowest tattooer on the planet, but he's very, very meticulous and very, I don't know, his whole process is slow. There's no hurry. Just do the
island time.
Yeah. So like when you get tattooed by Lance, it's an all-day event, but you know, there's a lot of cool shit that's happening during that time. A lot of like, there were some times where I was like, fuck, I can't wait to get out of here. But like he still had the walls filled with his original sheets, and I picked out this dragon, and the coolest fucking dragon traditional dragon I'd seen in a while. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the one I want. And he even pulled out the acetate and stuff. He still had all his old shit, and so we came back the next day. I met a buddy for breakfast, and he brought me by, and we were hanging out. And Lance was sitting there drawing a new dragon, and I was like, well, I don't know what's really going on. I picked one off the wall, and you know, and everything Lance does is slow. His setup slow, his tattooing slow, his drawing slow, everything. And after about an hour and a half, I said, you know, hey Lance, do you still have that acetate from yesterday? And he's just like, I don't know where I put it. It's like, oh, okay, like we just had it, whatever. And another hour goes by, and I'm starting to get really nervous because every time I see what he's drawing, he's not drawing the tattoo I asked for, and he's drawing from a how to draw dragons kids book, like a fantasy dragons kids book. And so I was starting to get really nervous, and I just said, hey Lance, are we still doing that dragon I picked out yesterday? And he doesn't even look up, and he just goes, nope, I'm going to draw you a better one. I was like, whoa, fuck, okay. So he draws this dragon. It's fucking cool, whatever. But yeah, like really small, tiny little thing, just enough for him to do his job. Like there wasn't even enough room for a massage table. It's like a little 4-foot fold out wooden thing. You're laying on filled up garbage bags as pillows, and you know, he's got these elastic bands hanging from the roof onto his machine so he can like take some of the weight off. And there's fucking geckos running around on the walls. And you know, the one thing that was really cool about Lance, he's another kind of older tattooer who was stoked to hear how you do things and learn new techniques. Like he's showing me his needles. Like we had some really cool conversations about his Scott Sterling machines but yeah, I think Lance felt lonely when I was there, you know, and he felt stoked to talk about tattooing. And even where his shop was, there was like 3 other shops around it, like within eyesight. And, you know, clearly he's not getting enough business with guys around, and people are starting to forget who some of these old guys are. And while Lance, like, he comes from a really strong lineage, like he should be remembered too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm sure those local shops, none of them are coming over and saying hi, good morning, bringing a coffee and shooting the shit, right?
Yeah, it sounded like there was a couple guys making a point to go by, like the Queen
that's
tattoo
good.
guys would go by and hang out. He was talking about some stuff. So, but not as many as they should be going by. Yeah.
No, in an industry where we revere history so much and we talk about how connected we need to be to the past, it's amazing how many of those old timers die in obscurity. You know, like, you know, Dave Shore closed up his shop, and there was only a couple tattooers that came by to help with doing that.
Yeah.
No one knew he was ill. Brian Zuck, you know, same thing. Like, you would think if you were, you know, tattooing in that city and you were, you know, you did the same kind of style, you believe you were part of that history, you'd want to pay respect. Go get tattooed by those guys at the very least.
Look, at the very least, go shake the dude's hand and, you know, introduce yourself and sit and listen. Like, you know, some of these old guys, when they get old, they don't put on a nice tattoo anymore. So you're again looking more at the experience than anything. Like it's a special thing to sit down with these guys and listen to hear them talk.
Yeah. Oh, that's my big regret, man. Hitting Montreal and then being like, I'll bug Tony next year.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, because everybody's always, you know, I'll get tattooed. I'm like, yeah, I should get tattooed by him. Fuck, I'll do it next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I've been saying that since 97.
Yeah.
Like, fucking don't. Just do it. Go.
Yeah. I remember when, sorry, someone's trying to call me here. They're not getting the hint that I'm declining their call. I remember Dustin going to go see Dave Shore back in the day and saying, you should come down and meet him. And I was like, fuck no, that guy's terrifying. Yeah. Like, he's an intimidating dude, you know, like he's a heavy dude. And I don't want to get thrown out, you know, like it's just how I felt. First time I went in to meet him, nicest fucking guy in the world. Did whatever he could to make me feel comfortable and welcome me and share stories. And man, that's what they all want. They want to pass that information on.
Well, and for me, that's where the magic in tattooing is. Like, it came from something, and these guys worked their fucking ass off. They didn't have the conveniences we did, and they did better work than 90% of people who are tattooing right now. Like, it's and that's special.
I find it funny that so many people are like, oh, gatekeepers this and gatekeepers that. And it's like, yeah, a lot of the times those people making those comments, not them themselves, but the people they're calling gatekeepers, those people actually aren't in a position to be gatekeepers.
Not at all.
Like, if anything, it was Dave Shore and Paul Jeffries. Those are the people that would have been the gatekeepers, but those are the people that are actually actively looking to hand the keys over.
Yeah. And they're open with information. Like, it's scary to ask those questions because you hear these stories that these guys are fucking old and cranky and they want to tell you to fuck off or whatever. But you ask that question and they will fucking open right up to you. Most of them,
Yeah. Well, and it's also like, well, who did they tell to fuck off? How did that person approach them?
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Did that person approach them with their hand open?
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, like, give me this.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It has to come from
like,
place, like in a respectful place. You can't be looking for anything. You have to fully expect for them to tell you to fuck off and kick you out of their shop. But most of them won't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally. Especially if you go wanting to pay respects, like asking to get tattooed, not asking to, I don't know, for shit, like, give me a job or teach me how to tattoo or something, like,
My big thing is trying to support them, like put some money in their pocket and just sit there and enjoy it. And maybe you'll get like that little tiny gem that's going to fucking change everything.
Yeah. I'd heard stories about Thomas Lockhart. He worked down the street from me where I apprenticed. And I went in there one day. I was like, got the balls up. I'm going to go say hi. And I went in there and he was really good and everything. And at the end of the conversation, he goes, I can give you a piece of advice. And I was like, oh, okay. What is that? He goes, anytime you go visit a tattooer, don't go with your fucking dick in your hand. I fucking realized, I was like, I'm coming in wasting his time.
Yeah.
I want all this attention. I want to hear all these stories. I didn't bring him anything, like not even a token, like, a sandwich or a fucking beer or anything. It was just like, I want your time, It was about me, not him. And I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot.
Yeah. When I was on the island, I working at a shop, I told him I wanted to try to get to the mainland and meet Thomas Lockhart. And the only thing I was told is don't go without beer. Bring him something, I've yet to meet him. Yeah. But maybe one day.
Oh, if you come down, I'll introduce you. I talk to him all the time.
Hell yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. He goes and sits on the front lawn of Lady Luck with David, eats dates.
That's awesome.
he doesn't drink anymore, but he's happy to talk and share. And
that's awesome.
He's got so much knowledge and stories and history up there.
Yeah, that's another important one that, people should realize,
Yeah.
Yeah. The Vanishing Tattoo Project. Like if, people should check out what they can, the footage that's available and stuff like that. It's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
I remember when Thomas came into Sacred Heart once, then we were all just like, is this happening? he came into Sacred Heart and he brought all these like European dudes with him because he had them up at the UBC Anthropology Center.
Oh yeah.
And it was crazy. He was just super cool. And he was just like, I wanted to bring these guys in to check out a good local shop and stuff. And we're just like, what the fuck is happening right now, man? Yeah. It was wild. It was crazy, Oh, just quick. Just came to my head. Ryan, we were texting last night. Amsterdam tattooer, Bill Loika.
Oh, dude, he crushes. He's one of my favorite flash painters.
That's the guy that's been selling all the flash and stuff.
Yeah, but the front of my shop's flooded with his stuff.
Yeah, so that was the name I was going crazy trying to think of. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's all good.
Yeah. Hey, let's touch back on you back down in LA for a little bit.
Okay.
And what did you find was the difference between guesting or working in a shop like in LA compared to Canadian shops?
Oh, well, first of all, they don't even start tattooing till 1. And
my old style.
Yeah, they don't start till 1. And
Please.
I'm up at 5 a.m. I'm at the shop by fucking 8:30, and first appointment starts at 11. So that was very different. and like I think it was closed at like 9 or something. But it was very clear. It was made very clear to me that if someone comes in at like 8:58 and they want, a fucking dragon, you're staying and doing that dragon.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, you guys tattoo pretty late," and they said, "Well, why else the fuck you here? Like if you're not going to do the tattoo, then what's the point of being here?" So there was quite a few late nights while I was there. Not crazy amounts, but yeah, and just the way Americans talk to their customers, it varies. It's different with everybody, but it's not like that Canadian politeness. It's like, if someone walks in and they say something stupid, they're going to tell you, no, that's fucking stupid. So that was very different.
How dare you?
Yeah, that was.
You haven't been to Headley shop, have you?
Yeah. Nah, you're fucking. But yeah, just that customer service is a very different take than what I'm used to and what I've I guess developed through 15 years, where it's like just polite. That was just always how we did things. But yeah,
I think there's been an evolution.
Even Bob was like that. Like when I went to get tattooed by him, I asked him, "Oh, you feel like doing this one?" And he's like, "Fuck no!" Like there's no filter really, but I like that.
I think that's something from a bygone era. I think things have just evolved that way. Like I think most service industries have influenced tattooing in that way, is that you need to cater to your client a little bit more. And being Canadian, obviously we have a different approach to how we talk to each other.
Yeah. So when I was there one day and my appointment canceled and Bob was doing a tattoo and I have this customer, Don. He's quite old now, but he has one of the best tattoo collections I've ever seen. He's got, stuff from Bob in the 80s, Tattoo Peter, Zeke Owens, Bob Shaw back piece. He actually gifted me some photos of him getting his back when he was a kid. But anyways, I wanted to ask Bob if he had remembered that tattoo he did on him. And so I was just kind of waiting for a lull in his tattooing, and a guy, Christian, there, he was like, "Hey, Ryan, you should show Bob that photo." And I just said, "I'm going to wait till he's done. Like, I don't want to interrupt him." And Bob stops everything, looks at him and goes, "See, someone's got some fucking manners." And it was like, it's the Canadian in me. Like, you can't really help it, Like, I don't want to interrupt him. I also don't want to, like, fucking piss him off or anything like that. Like, it feels like I want to walk on eggshells. Like, I don't want to hear you're not welcome back,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What?
Well, you know how they open those. You know how they open those restaurants where like they waitresses shit talk people.
Oh yeah.
Every tattoo shop should just have that once a month, walk-in flash day. But it's like no holds barred.
Anything goes.
Just talk to anything goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
It would save a lot of time screaming into a pillow when I get home.
Hey man, the customer is always right, unless they're a client of tattoo shop.
Yeah.
Then they're rarely ever right.
Yeah.
But you can't make them feel that way. That's the difference between America and Canada.
Yeah.
I just could plan a little montage here of Lance McClain that I pulled up, or Bob Roberts. Sorry, Lance McClain.
Yeah, that was when I was getting my tattoo from Bob. That almost didn't happen, so I'm glad it did.
Oh, that's cool. The size of that painting is massive. You talked about that yesterday.
Yeah, and that was
yeah. That's the one that hangs in your shop, right?
Yeah.
And this is Lance here, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Doing that sweet ass dragon on you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That tattoo
with that sweet elastic setup.
Oh, dude, it was sick. And he'd pull 2 lines, unhook it from his machine, put his machine down, grab Kleenex out of a Kleenex box, grab the biggest fucking gob of Vaseline you've ever seen, slather it on you, and kind of inspect his couple lines, and then you hook it back up, and that was the whole fucking process, man. That tattoo was probably 4 or 5 hours. It was a long one.
Oh my god! Just tattoo me.
Yeah. And laying on that plank, that fold-out fucking plank on garbage bags, that got uncomfortable quick, but it was awesome.
No doubt.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I think this first picture is him as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a cool motherfucker, man. Super cool.
Yeah, what's it like being in that room, man? Can you imagine tattooing in a green room like that? Woo!
Well,
what are you talking about? You've tattooed that Lady Luck
in Red Deer.
Oh yeah, I know, it's brutal. Can't get a good fucking picture in a green room. Come on. Love you, Mike Pryor. His new studio is awesome. Yeah, let's go back and get rid of that. Oh, cool. So I also
what year was that you were in Hawaii, Ryan?
2017.
And he's now since retired and closed shop?
Yeah, I think he retired either last year or the year before that. Okay. I don't know exactly when. Lance is still, doesn't have a cell phone. He does email a little bit, but he doesn't know how to work his computer. So we stayed in touch for a little bit after that. And that dropped off. So I might try to reach out to him again soon and see how he's doing and see if he'll even reply. So.
Yeah, I wonder if it was the lockdowns that shut up, like finally just did the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I mean that and all the shops opening up around him, right? Like
for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, look at sweet that. Tats. Ryan, you're stuff's rad. I love that you've changed your color palette. Like this is
well, he had to. Everybody started doing it.
It's just I think the stuff will even age better.
Yeah.
You know, like
I
your tonal
values. You sent me that drawing of that Oni head, man. That looks so good.
Thank you. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm still stressing out about drawings all the time. So it's nice to have people to send them to and tell you where you're fucking it up.
Yeah. Yeah, same. I appreciate my little circle that I can text to and, when I can give a little bit of input, outside look onto something, it makes me feel good too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look how powerful that thing is. Was that one session?
That was two. All the black, I think, and then color.
Oh, this thing's amazing. This and the catfish that's coming up are my two favorites.
Yeah,
I think
I'm stoked on that.
Your stuff,
the Reaper Panther. That was a lot of fun to do.
Your color palette. There's so much more contrast in it now. I think it just the stuff just reads so much better. Yeah,
and you're right. I'm finding that it's aging better too.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Like if everything's kind of the same tone as it ages, it just gets flatter and flatter.
Well, I mean, I did the same shit everybody else did when I started tattooing. These giant fucking lines, and then you see it 5 years later, and it's just a black silhouette of everything. And all this dragged out whip shading where you see every fucking mark of the needle. Like all that shit spreads, and I was getting bummed out on how my tattoos were looking even just after 5 years. So I tried switching up.
Look at this thing.
I know, but even in the last one, that tiny use of white, like the tiniest use of white in that last picture was just like, pay attention.
Let's go back.
Pay attention, kids.
Yeah, and I buying a shitload of colors that I've never touched before. Just trying to play around with combos and like something like this. Like my wife called it the watermelon tiger with
that's awesome.
With the olives and the pinks and stuff.
Yeah, look at that.
Little white right there.
Just the tiniest bit.
I mean, I stole that kind of style from Bob. I mean, he did the fucking Stray Cat shit, right? Like, but just
totally.
give it some new flavor if you can.
Yeah, no, it shows. It's great. Like this is such a great take on an old classic. You're talking about seeing the lines come back 5 years later, those big 14 round lines all blowing out and everything. And so many young people new to traditional are thinking they're mimicking those old traditional tattoos. It's like they were all done with a 7-liner. Like,
yeah,
they just age that way. So
that's age. That's age.
Yeah.
Could be a poor application as well. Like you don't want to mimic.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with Flash, right? Like guys will fucking tea stain their sheets, and while it looks cool, it's like the guys back in the day didn't do that. It's from nicotine, from smoking. Like, you know what the fuck you're doing. But like, I mean,
you had to kill yourself for that look.
Those old sheets, they weren't stained. That's from decades and decades in shops and stuff. So,
yeah. Or 2 weeks at Sacred Heart in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Yeah. Between the toxic washroom in the back and the fucking smoke pit, it was.
And me, Woodley, Dave, all of us like just heavy smokers nonstop. And then I remember when they first told us we had to quit smoking. I was so mad. And then 1 week after not smoking in the shop, I was like, oh, this is actually a lot better.
This is better.
So much better. That's really good, man.
This
that thing.
Yeah,
this is my favorite tattoo of yours.
So one thing because I overthink, Headley will attest to this, I overthink fucking everything. So like as I'm going, all it's trying to do is balance the warm and the cool together.
Yeah.
So I'm really stoked on this tattoo, man. I've only got to do a couple Namazus in my career, and I'm proud of these ones. It's something that's kind of been in my head for a while that I finally got to do, and I'm pretty grateful that people are even asking for shit like this.
You know what's so annoying about this photo is that I know it's not fucking filtered.
No.
Like this is how your shit looks, and it's really annoying.
It's so saturated.
It's saturated and it's so fucking smooth. Like that black, like people use Photoshop now to make their black look like that.
Yeah. That's like I said about the whole like drawn out whip shading. Like once I saw how that was aging, I pulled it right back, man. I do real short whips on it now. Yeah. And it's making a huge difference. I think it's making a huge difference in the way it's aging too.
Yeah. Your work is still evolving, which is really nice to see. Like another big jump in your work is when you open Stronghold. Yeah. And you just sitting there by yourself.
Yeah. So and there was two periods I feel like I really started pushing, and both of them is when I was by myself, and it wasn't like, I wasn't trying to impress the tattooers in the shop or anything like that. It was, obviously I want the customer to like it, but I would just sit there and redraw over and over and over and plan out this stuff with no distractions around. And it worked really well for me. A lot of people don't like working by themselves, but
you started doing it for yourself.
What's that?
Right? You started doing it more for yourself rather than the person beside you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's also no influence sitting next to you. You're just doing it how you would do it. Yeah. It's really easy. Like when I was sitting at Government Street to try to replicate Chris David's tattoos. They're fucking incredible. But I'm not Chris David. Yeah. It didn't have the same feel to it when I was attempting it,
I love this. Everybody talked about bring back the dots and rocks. You got to bring back water bubbles.
Oh, fuck
and you did it in this tattoo.
Yes.
Bill Baker used to kill that shit in the early days, man. I
love
sometimes.
I love that Alberta blue water too.
Yeah.
Paul Jeffrey's blue water.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so amazing.
Yeah, I've been lucky, man. Like I have a list of different animals and stuff. Cause I mean like tigers and panthers, and eagles and snakes, all the classics are amazing. But there's other animals. I have a whole list that I want to tattoo that I think I could do some cool shit with. And I'm starting to get to do them, which is really cool.
Nice. This is what's impressing me. Is that you're one of those guys that are known for being prolific with flash, but what you're doing with gold leaf, this is the shit that I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing this stuff.
Please tell me, how did this come about?
It was out of that same situation where you walk around a convention and everyone was doing the same shit. Everyone's flash looked the same. It was all the same images. And, all of this is an old sign painter's thing, and so I started diving into it and reading about it and finding out about the process, which I became hyper obsessed with. And because every little tiny thing changes how it's going to turn out, or it'll fuck it up and you have to start over. And there's no redos with these things. You scrape it and start over. And, so I had been working with the gilding process for about 2 years, a little over 2 years, I think, before I even told anyone I was doing it. Because, I mean, with fucking tattooers, they're the biggest thieves on the planet. As soon as something cool comes out, everyone starts doing it. Look at, now, it's not to say some people aren't doing it amazingly, but look at, like, enamel pin merch. Like, one dude starts doing it, and it's flooded. And same thing with ceramics right now. Some guys are crushing it with ceramics, and it's incredible what they're doing, but then everybody latches onto it. So it felt like when I was doing it, I'm just going to keep this for me for a while. Like, this is just for me. And I got some work together, and I was very lucky that in Victoria, the Dobell brothers, they let me hang around the C-Can for a little bit, and we kind of went through the process, and I was showing them what I was doing, and they were telling me like what to fix, and if I had trouble, they were giving me little troubleshooting tips and stuff like that. So I was really lucky that way. But yeah, I kept that really quiet for a long time because I just wanted it to be mine. And lo and behold, the moment I dropped it and I put it on the internet and sold them at the next convention, I got flooded with messages on how to do it. And I wasn't ready to tell anybody, like, I don't know. Like, it was the same with like teaching myself how to paint proper traditional flash. It was like, spend some money, figure it out, fuck up 100 sheets before it starts looking half decent. Like, put some effort into it, So it was kind
that's one thing I know about you.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's one thing I know about Ryan for sure, is that anything that he puts out that's different from what he's been doing, I know he's been working at that for so fucking long that I would quit. I would just be like, no. Like, his black and gray fine line single needle stuff. Insane. Doesn't put it out there. Will do it, but doesn't put it out there. Yeah. His painting, his screen printing, like all this shit that he does. When you were doing your sign painting, he did this little desk that he brought the classic tattoo. It's like, oh, cool. Who did that for you? He's like, me. It was my test. It's like,
my test.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that's not a test. That's a finished product for sale.
Yeah. I mean, that also like comes from everything that you do. It's not good enough. It always can be better, right? And so I'm getting better with that. I'm starting to be like proud of the stuff I'm putting out. And I did a big one that was actually supposed to be for a spotlight art show, but then COVID hit. So that's the only one I got left, and I wish I had more time for it. It's a long process, and I'm very particular. But like the video you showed, I started getting into glue chipping glass, and that one was beyond frustrating. And I want to jump back into that a little more because people seem to love that one. Like, a where it just says fuck, but it's pretty in gold. Like people seem to enjoy those ones.
That's that contrast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh. Well, you're quite the handy guy. Have you built machines at all?
No.
A lot of us.
I can absolutely put together and tune my machines, but I am no machine builder.
Never been curious about.
Oh, absolutely curious. That? Absolutely curious. But it's also like I know how I am when I become hyper obsessed with things, and that one would take over. And
are you secretly building like 500 machines right now to perfect the process so you can just launch them on the market?
No, nothing yet. But okay. I mean, I
don't believe you.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe in 2 years you'll see something happen, or I'll just hand you a machine. But
fuck.
Ryan will hand wrap coils is the problem.
What's that?
Like literally, you would end up like hand wrapping coils like this. Like it would take you a year to do a coil.
I have a desk.
That wire is a tiny bit off. Garbage. Next.
I've done that. I have a hand, like I don't have a drill or anything. I have literally like just a hand wound coil winder, and
So you do. So you are building machines.
Forever. But
so you are building machines.
Not currently, no. No.
Okay.
I don't think I can build a better machine than some of my favorite builders. Dax builds the best liners you can buy, period. And any new tattooer asks me about who should I buy a machine from, liners are Dax, And Chris David is really crushing it with his new machines. I really enjoy using his. I use his every single day. Same with Dax. Same with Valdoan. Every single day. I don't think I could build a better machine than those guys. And it kind of feels like leave it for the big boys, Maybe one day I'll dive in just so I can understand the entire process a little better. But as a full-time machine builder, I don't think I'll be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a lot of dedication.
It does.
I dabbled in it for a bit. It's so time intensive.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, guys like Valdoan, he puts a lot of fucking time into those machines, and it shows.
Yeah. Well, that's also why he ends up not selling most of them.
Yeah, well,
they're hard to
everyone,
find.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
You know, it's every time I see him, it's like, so how many of those machines you not selling this weekend?
yeah.
Uh,
They're more for show and tell, you know?
yeah. I'll see how when I use them, and then he'll use it and be like, nah, I like that too much.
Or it's not quite ready yet, you know?
Yeah, it's not quite ready, or he likes it too much. So it's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
But I mean, yeah, machine builders, I mean, it's just like tattooers. They're a fucking dime a dozen right now, but the ones who build a really, really nice coil machine for how I tattoo, like, I couldn't possibly compete with those guys. I'm going to leave it to them and support them and put the money in their pocket.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people anybody can build a machine.
Yeah.
It's not hard to build a machine, but there's not a lot of good machine tuners.
Yeah. And
that's what makes the machine.
Yeah. And
there's lots of great machines.
You know, like fucking brutal hammer hitting machines, I won't touch anymore. You know, it's all about finesse, and that's what I really like about Dax's machines is like it's finesse. You know, it's not beating the hell out of somebody, and clients appreciate that too. But Dax, I recently got a couple more off of him, and man, his pack like fucking rotaries. So it's like I'm trying to tell people like if you know everyone's trying to get a rotary that feels like a coil, well, fucking go to Dax. He'll give you a coil that feels like a rotary. It's crazy. Yeah,
absolutely. Like all my Roselles, I was a Roselle guy forever. But again, bit harder of a machine. Dax is smooth tuned, a little bit more finessey and stuff, but they still give me what I want, like my old Roselles. So now that's it. I have literally, I don't think I have, every coil I have is a Dax, and I have a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I sold a bunch off because I was having hand problems and I had to switch over to rotary.
Fucking old.
Sold a bunch off. Rebought a bunch of new ones. Of course, got gifted some, thankfully.
Yeah.
But I got like one of those, what's his name? Fjord from England. He's got those little tiny like rotaries, the MK2, the Mark II or whatever. They're really nice, but just not.
Sword tattoo. Yeah.
So it's really cool. It's nice, you know. And
I
got a Neotat.
New one he's coming out with.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks
that Sidewinder style one.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy. That one that he makes that Thomas Hooper uses for 45 mags, and he runs it off of a battery pack.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do enjoy making shit. Like I still make my own stencil stuff. I still make my own clip cords. I still make like before there was power supplies with constant on, I made my own constant on switches. Like I still enjoy making all that stuff, but I don't think I'll dive into machines. Not full blown anyways.
How do you make your own stencil stuff? Are you using you're melting the stuff down? And I had a recipe on my phone forever.
Next time I see it, I'll give you a bottle.
Oh, I know what it smells like already.
Smell it from sure.
Menin. That sounds like the name of a gay club.
I'm going to go with a good old, Nico Hurtado probably recipe, I'm guessing.
Oh.
I guess
I'm not going to say.
It's, you know what? It's not like anybody could ever find that magazine where he did that interview where he talked about making his own stencil stuff.
No.
People would be like, wait, that was in a magazine? Wait, they have magazines?
Exactly, yeah.
I just gave away all my tattoo, what were they called? Not Tattoo Time. Fucking Tattoo Artist Magazine, TAMs. I gave those all to a younger tattooer, and I hope they are reading those things cover to cover like I did.
Man, I hold those like gold. I'll never let
them. Dude, I have the whole pile behind me, and I even have doubles that haven't been opened.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You know how I am. Shit's fluid with me, man. I get it, and I sell it or pass it on.
I can't let it go.
I do that with most stuff, too, but usually not my books or that kind of stuff. I got rid of all my other tattoo magazines, but those TAMs, I enjoy those. I enjoy going back and reading some of those interviews.
Well, even just like seeing other tattooers, like how they've progressed. Like if you go back to the issue of TAM with Steve Byrne, like, and you look at his work now, it is not even comparable. Like his style shift goes every 5 years, and it's fucking incredible. It like when I look at that makes me want to push too, right? Like, or like you get the issue with Jason Brooks, and it's like that's how to fucking do water. Like I'm never letting this this book go, ever. But yeah.
Hey, so I touched on you working alone, opening your shop, et cetera, but you have some people with you now.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Really, really great, actually. Both younger tattooers. Katie, Grizzly Inks on Instagram. She joined me. I think April's going to be a year, and
Nice.
I'm really proud of how she's working out. She is crushing it, and
Cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. And we just brought on another tattooer, Elena. She's from Italy, and another young tattooer, a couple years in, and she's been with us for about 3 weeks now. And same thing, she's working out great. Everyone, they're hungry to learn and try things, and constantly asking questions about needles and pigment, and there's like a couple of things that I made sure that they were aware of coming into the shop that are non-negotiables for me that I think are really important, like doing line drawings and not just printing off a fucking iPad all the time. And that it's been working great. I love having them around, and it's been a really, really great fit. I tried out about 5 or 6 people, and just didn't fucking work. I'm pretty particular about how I do things, which are pretty easy, but how you treat customers, be ready the moment the customer walks in, like have your drawings ready. Those are non-negotiables, and it works really well with these two. And everyone's getting along. And I think we'll have a 4th in the spring, so we're going to see how that works out.
Nice. It's nice getting young people in the studio.
Well, it's really nice because I'm still learning from them, and shit I didn't even think I would even consider. Like Katie had never really used coil machines before. She's on the pen, and she's asking me, I'm having trouble with this. How do I fix this? I didn't know how to answer it because I've never even fucking held one of those machines.
I'm having that same thing too.
Yeah, so
some of my guys.
I bought a cheap Chinese $200 one and started using it, and it does what it's supposed to do. And once I open it to try to understand the insides, it's just a fucking direct drive rotary. I was fucking furious that it was a direct. I was so mad. It's like, I thought it was this crazy new technology, but it's all it is a direct drive rotary. Okay, I understand this. I know how to help, And but after
it's not a magic wand.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes vertical, then it goes horizontal. Then there's a 45 degree, another 45, and then to vertical.
It's like I just didn't understand what the hype was. But after using one and cartridges and stuff, I see its place in tattooing, and I get why people love it, 100%. And so learning stuff like that, which I would never have pursued learning how to use a pen or understanding it whatsoever if it wasn't for the new tattooers.
Well, I think when you have someone young asking you questions about your own process, it makes you have to re-examine how you do it.
Not me.
No, oh fuck!
I'm so
must be nice.
I'm so high attention to detail that it's like
I figured it all out.
One of my biggest pet peeves is when you ask a tattooer, well, why do you like this needle or why do you like this ink? And they're just like, I don't know, it just works. To me, that's not an answer. Like, if you ask me why I like a certain thing, I'll have this long, drawn out, fucking boring explanation. But like, I've picked apart every part of my process, and it gets to a point where like even some of the supply companies, when they change which factory they're manufacturing their needles, I can fucking tell right away.
Oh, dude, that drives me crazy. And then they lie to me.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things. Like I picked apart the process and try. The hard thing is trying to explain it to them, where it's like, just because it's what I do doesn't mean it's what you have to do. I've been stuck in what I do and how I do it for so long, but they don't. I've been trying to be like, well, if it doesn't work for you, whatever, maybe try this. I've been trying to be a little more open to like a different process, but yeah, it's very easy for me to explain why I like the things I like because I've ripped them apart.
And what works for you isn't necessarily something that works for everybody at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
That can't be that way. You really have, like you just said, you really have to figure it out on your own.
Absolutely.
Try stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think it's the beauty of being a young tattooer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have that opportunity.
Yeah. Like, you can give them a base, but really it's like comes down to feel, like my apprentice is going through that right now too, where it's like, dude, we need to figure out machine for you. And I can't, he's like, well, you know, Dak said to run this machine at this. And I'm like, okay, well, I tattoo with that machine and I run it 3 volts higher than that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, you know, and I get the same line as, you know, if I turn it down, but I'm not as fast with it or whatever, you know? So I'm just like, you got to figure that feel. You can't really teach that kind of stuff. You can give your general consensus as to why something might be better than something else.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's even just a bias thing. Well, this is better because it's not made by that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, I just want to touch on this quick because you're actually quite open. You do those Ask Me Anythings all the time.
Yeah.
And people always ask you about ink. Looking at, I wanted to ask you, I might as well ask you on air, what pink are you using?
So there's 2.
Rooster ink pink.
Yeah.
And that's $5
Because you've been using a lot of pink lately, and I'm just like, damn, what pink is that?
Yeah, so I use a lot of the powdered stuff from Luna. And the thing with Luna, I love it, but the tone changes based off of the mix. And
100%.
Yeah, so they're light pink. The first couple times I was using it was fucking amazing. Then I got a bottle that's a little more on the red side. So I have a safety bottle just in case that's from Fantasia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the bubble gum?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's a really good pink.
Yeah. But to any young tattooer who wants to know how to make a really bright pink, go get tattooed by Dax. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Fuck yeah, an orange.
Because
an orange,
hey,
dude, people still ask me about the orange in my neck. They're like, "Oh, is that like a new tattoo?" I'm like, "No, that's done in like 2008."
Yeah.
Like what? I'm like, "Yeah," and he did that cover up whole tattoo in an hour.
Yeah,
and that was with me running out of the shop every 5 minutes to get away from him.
Yeah. Well, and that's, yeah, I mean, I've been playing around with a lot of different pigments from a lot of different companies, but I always come back to the powder pigments from Luna. Some chroma stuff's really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah,
totally.
I don't know. The powder stuff just looks fucking better in the skin, especially over time.
Yeah. I think so too. Like chroma brown, that medium brown from chroma.
The medium dark brown, like the fucking,
yeah,
1 of 18 browns or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
So
I wish ink companies would stop that.
Yeah. Just give me a brown.
Yeah.
Or actually, just name them dark brown, light brown, medium brown, instead of like fucking atomic brown or whatever the fucking name. You know, like, please.
But I mean, like Sean can attest to this from being at the shop. I don't have like 1 bottle of yellow. I've got an entire top shelf filled with them, trying to find the best tone, the best one that goes in the skin, the one that heals the best, the one that stays bright the longest. Like, I will dump way too much money into inks that I will never use because it's just that much not perfect, you know? Yeah, Sean was trying to find a regular yellow in my fucking shelf when he was here. He was doing like some really nice pretty flowers and stuff, and it's like, sorry man, I can't help you with that. I don't have a regular yellow. Yeah.
No. Oh fuck.
Yeah,
Unreal.
just give me Dermaglow Canary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh fuck. What do you want to talk about?
Oh. Well, let's how did you like your early career work ethic and your better balance of life now with having twins, dude?
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind, man. It's the greatest fucking thing that has ever happened to me. And I'm very lucky, but it's been hard. Like, just over a year ago, my daughter had heart surgery. So that's one thing I absolutely want to say to anybody who's listening. If you have the ability to donate blood, go donate blood. There's a huge shortage, and it helps kids like mine when they go through heavy shit like that. And it's just one less thing to worry about. So, but the work-life balance, man, it's not as hard as I thought it would be. When I had my kids, it changed everything. I love tattooing, but I will fucking quit tomorrow for those kids. You know?
Yeah.
And they're the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And the whole balance, I absolutely try my best every single day. I don't miss bed and bath. You know, it's these little moments with them that are way more important than staying late and tattooing now. And I tell people, like, you know, if you really want me to stay late, if you're really desperate for this tattoo, I'll do it, but I'll charge double my hourly rate. And no one has ever done it. So it's like, it's not that important, you know?
Yeah.
And,
yeah,
totally.
Yeah. Spending those time with my kids, like, especially with COVID, when COVID lockdowns happened in Alberta, we were locked down for 4 months the first time. And me and Dave were talking about this before.
It was great.
Yeah. I understand everyone's stressed with the lockdowns, but it was the greatest fucking thing ever for me. I got to see their first steps. I get to hear their first words. I didn't miss anything. I was home
Nice.
and if working, I would have missed it all. So balance is very easy for me now. The kids come first, period. You know, tattoos, again, we're not changing the world here. Like, you can wait the week or the 24 hours just to get your fucking tattoo. It's very easy to put my family first now. And while I was
right out the gate.
What's that?
Yeah. I was going to say, and right out the gate, when you opened your shop, you were 4 days a week. Shop is closed 3 days a week. Period.
No exceptions.
You know, and
period.
Yeah. And that's great.
Yeah. You know, things might change once my kids get to school. And, you know, I never understood why every tattoo shop was closed Sunday, Mondays. I'm starting to understand it a little better now. Just to have that time with your kids at least one day on the weekend while they're in school all week. But yeah, it's fucking easy for me to just, no, sorry, I'm busy with the kids. Or, you know, I don't feel any guilt about rescheduling people ever. Because I won't do it just because I feel like it. I'll do it because I have to. Like, my kids come first, you know?
Yeah. I think that's a little easier too once you've put in your dues when you were younger, you know? Like, when you're young and you've sacrificed and you've built yourself up.
Yeah.
It's easier to do that as a father, an older man, a mother, or whatever.
And, you know, thank God my wife stuck around. Like, she's put up with a ton of my shit. Because, you know, I wouldn't even be tattooing if it wasn't for her. She got me into that first shop. And, you know, there was 1 year, she actually kept track of the days that I did not step foot into the tattoo shop. And I think it was between, like, it was something ridiculous, like March and September. And there was only 4 days I didn't walk into the shop. And when she called me on it, I said, there's no fucking way that's true. And she kept track of it. And when you see that tangible evidence of, like, because you love it. It doesn't feel like you're always there.
Yeah.
You know? No. And so that flipped the switch, but the kids was the major flip. It was just like, absolutely nothing else matters. You know, this is what I do for work and to make people happy. And I'm lucky enough to enjoy it. But if they need me, they get me first, period. And being home and being present has been a big challenge of that, you know, especially when you're tired and you're exhausted and they're being little assholes or something, you know? Yeah. But yeah, twins are gnarly. Twins are next level, but I wouldn't fucking change it for the world, man. And they're already talking about they want a throat tattoo like daddy. And
nice.
My one daughter was saying this morning she wants a red panda on her hand already, and they're always covering each other in tattoos, stickers, and it's cool, man. It's the greatest thing ever.
Nice. And then they'll grow up and just be like, nah.
Yeah, man, like, lame. I love tattooing, but part of me is like, fuck, I want better for my kids, you know? Like, I want them... I don't want them sitting up all night stressing about a fucking drawing, you know? Like,
yeah. You're going to be up all night stressing about something.
Something, you know? But if that's what they want to do, then I'll support them and help them in any way I can. But it's hard picturing my kids ever wanting to do that, you know?
Well, yeah, you know, and we're starting to see more and more generational tattooing now. Look at, like, the Tex family.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Now, and Pierre, you know, like Pierre just posted a video the other day with Audrey Lune they're doing a collaboration back piece together.
Amazing.
Sick.
You know, and it's like, and she's still just doing like the little tattoos and stuff like that, but like she's in there helping them line it and stuff and doing some detailing and stuff like that. Third generation.
That's a big tattoo family, that one. His brother tattoos and his father tattoos.
Yeah, Michel, Pierre, and then his younger brother, and now his daughter. Like, it's pretty cool, man.
Absolutely. Well, and that's like Charlie and Bob. I mean, Charlie was in there super young, you know? And he's another great machine builder. Like, he builds... The one time I got the first coil from him, from Charlie Roberts, it changed fucking everything about my tattooing. It changed everything. I got it. BJ Betts ended up tattooing it on me because it was so important. I still tattoo with it every single day.
Nice.
Yeah. But
I have a controversial question for you.
Ooh, lay it on me.
Who are your top 5 favorite tattooers?
Top 5 favorite tattooers?
Yeah, maybe it's easy for you. It's not easy for most.
No, it's easy. It's like no question.
Of course it is. Of course, for you it is.
Yeah, no question.
Why would it be any different? You've thought about this every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get up, you're like, oh, number 1, number 2, number 3.
No, he wakes up and thinks, "Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
That guy's cool.
That guy's cool."
Yeah. Absolute number 1, Bob Roberts. No one can touch him. Period. Second, I love him not for his tattoos, but for his flash, was Colonel Todd. He worked at the Pike. He was one of the guys to break in Bob with Bob Shaw, and no one's flash looked like Colonel Todd's. Period. And it was strong. It was along that like Coleman line. It had that Coleman feel to it. But yeah, when you see sheets of his, if you know right away that was a Todd sheet. And he did some of the coolest fucking designs. Like, you know, people were doing tall ships and shit like that. He was doing like battleships, like tough looking tattoos. Right. And as far as like after those two modern day tattooers, it goes Tony Hundle, Uzi, and Mark Nava. Period.
Sorry, who was the fourth one?
Uzi, Miguel Montgomery.
Oh, Uzi. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, see, like, I don't, because I keep getting banned from Instagram.
Yeah.
And,
the old pervert.
And I always forget people and stuff. And yeah, I forget all about that guy's name. Crazy. I have to look him back up and follow him with Champions page.
Uzi's one of those guys that all his shit's based off of the traditional imagery, but it doesn't look like anybody else's. And what I love about it is if you try to imitate his style, you will never come close, and it just looks like a shitty ripoff. He's one of the very few tattooers that stand on his own. And I mean, I really, really want to get down there and get tattooed by him. But Tony Hundle and Mark Nava, for the sheer power that they have in their tattooing, is unmatched as far as that style goes.
Mark Nava coming like right out the gate, it was just like, what?
Yeah.
His stuff. Like, as soon as I started seeing his stuff published, again, going back to magazines, it was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like,
and Tony's another one of those guys where you look at the TAM issue and you look back at what his work looked like and what it looks like now, and you see the progression. It's fucking inspiring, man. It's just like, holy shit. But if you really pay attention, like, there's some really smart, genius tricks that they're using. And, you know, if you're not looking for them, you're going to miss them. But fuck, even just catching that tiny little thing that they're doing in these back pieces where it eliminates like an entire section of background, but it has the same impact as if you drew something in there. And man, those guys are top tier to me. They're crushing it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a solid list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the only person to come up with it like super fast. It's awesome that you have that rehearsed.
Yeah. I fucking obsess about everything. And yeah, that, you know, it was easy for me because when we first moved back to Calgary in January 2020, I had committed to finally getting going on my back piece again. And it was started and the guy fucking whatever. I got to start over. But it was between those three guys. So I picked apart their work like crazy, and I'm pretty decided on it and decide what's happening now. So hopefully in the next couple of years I'll be able to get that going. But yeah, I picked those three's work apart like crazy.
Nice. I only have one more question. Sean might have more, but this one. You know, in the tattoo industry, there's a lot of nicknames and stuff for people, and tattooers take on nicknames. I'm really curious what your piercer nickname was.
You motherfucker. Yeah, no, I think we're done.
I know you had one. You must have. Every piercer did.
I never had one. Maybe there was some names I was called behind my back at the time, but yeah, I don't recall having one. But my wife for a long time was trying to get a nickname going, and it never stuck. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But she always tried to call me Gagne West.
Gagne West.
Yeah, she was pushing that one pretty hard for a while. I'm glad it didn't stick. Yeah.
Oh, fucking Jeezy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell us what do you have plans coming up? Any conventions? Any guest spots? Traveling?
It's been so heavy with the kids, especially with my daughter's medical stuff, that I wasn't even thinking about it for a long time. This year, I think I'm getting back out there, and I'll be in Saskatoon in April at the convention there, and so that'll be my first one back since before COVID. And I'd like to get back to Saskatoon. My first priority guest spot is to Talk Cat in Saskatoon after the convention. Yeah, that's top priority, and I'd like to get back to Government Street on the island this year, and
Nice.
there's also one that is a long time coming, and I'm really, really excited about, but it's to go see Andreas at TCB in Toronto.
Oh, Andreas is the best.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Like, I've yet to meet him. We've talked,
dude.
and he's been very, very generous with me, and I can't wait to get out there and hang out with him, because he's another one of those guys. He influenced, he taught Dax, he taught Chris how to paint. Like, he's got some roots in him, man. Like, that's another guy I really want to sit down with and grab a tattoo and hang out.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. He came up with Trevino and, Texas tattooer, that guy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. When I was kicking it in Toronto there a few years ago, unfortunately his shop was closed, and I was actually only in Toronto for a day. So it was like, walk by, it's closed, like,
fuck.
So, right. But, went, hung out at the Pearl for a bit, and then that was it. In and out. It was just a quick thing. So.
Yeah. And, my wife, I think she's getting to the point where she's ready for me to leave the house for a little bit. So, so I'm going to ease back into it with the Saskatoon convention in April and see how I'm feeling and see how it goes.
Nice.
Yeah, it felt weird to be years ago. It felt weird to be at home for a long extended periods of time. Now it feels weird to leave. I don't want to leave my kids. So that's something I got to get over. But yeah, this year I'll break back into it.
Yeah.
If people don't know where to find you already, where can people find you online and in person?
Instagram's just at Ryan Gagne Tattoo. In person, Stronghold Tattoo is just outside of Kensington on 14th Street in Calgary, Alberta. Something cool about the shop that actually I do want to mention, because I just think it's so fucking cool. When I opened the shop, a local tattooer, Mike Peace, he drove by, and it was on my days off, but he drove by, he wanted to see the location, and he sent me a message and said, hey man, I'm pretty sure Jerry Swallow used to work upstairs in that building.
Oh, wild.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck, that's super cool. And I needed confirmation, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Again, I was obsessing. So I messaged Jerry. We've met a couple times. Like, I don't think he'd remember me or anything like that, just in brief passing. But I sent him a message and said, hey, Jerry, do you remember tattooing upstairs on the shop in 14th Street, just up from the Chicken on the Way? Because that's been there forever. And he messaged me back, and he said, it wasn't upstairs. I was on the main level, far left. That's this shop.
No way.
Yeah. So we got to talking, and it's the same landlord he had. And yeah. And he was telling me about some of the tattoos. He was doing a lot of Western, like Japanese tattooing here. And he said there was a lot of magic in this place. And he gave me his blessings. And which was really cool. When I got a new thermofax, and we had to do some electrical work or whatever. So we went to the basement to fuck with the fuse panel. And still on there to this day is a little sticker that says tattoo plugs from when he was here.
No way.
Yeah. Cool.
So, and I also found out he had a shop on 11th Street and had to move, and that's when he moved here. But he was only in this shop from 85 to 88. So Jerry tattooed in this shop the year I was born.
Wild.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
I couldn't make that happen if I wanted to, and it's going to make it really fucking hard to leave one day because everything ends. But I thought that was super cool. So, and I do have a bunch of his old rubbings and acetates and stuff in the shop. I'm still trying to get my hands on some stuff from that 85 to 88 period, so it can kind of come back home, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anybody wants to come check out some cool old tattoo shit and hear me go on and on about it, we're in Calgary.
Well, what's your actual address?
I don't know.
Here, actually, I have your card right here.
Wait a minute. It's 231 14th Street.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And then, people can just walk in, right?
I started doing walk-in days the first Sunday of every month, and I really miss walk-ins. Okay. I really miss not knowing what your day is going to be, and I really miss doing small Pinterest tattoos. So if you want to walk in on my walk-in day and you want a Pinterest tattoo, come and see me. I'll get you out in a hurry. Yeah.
But your door's unlocked every day you're open.
Oh, every day you can come in, check out the flat, walk around, hang out, shoot the shit every single day.
All right.
This is not a private studio.
Friday to Monday.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Rad, dude. This has been fun.
Yeah.
With all the technical difficulties
Thanks a lot, Ryan.
At all. Yeah, we really appreciate your time.
Anytime, guys.
Yeah, man. Thanks for doing this.
So I appreciate it.
Thanks for putting up with Sean.
Dude, it's been 18 years of putting up with Sean, so this was pretty chill, actually.
18 years, man. For me, it's been like 25 or something.
Yeah. And look at
he's like a bad rash.
I still look a lot younger than you. So what does that say about this
always
relationship?
Be older than me.
I might be older, but I'll always look younger.
It's all that rolling on mats with sweaty dudes. I'm convinced.
Yeah. Every chance he gets.
I know. I always get yelled at. Dude, why are you doing jiu-jitsu with your mouth wide open?
Try to catch a dick.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
On that high note.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we'll...
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ryan, for being our first guest on So You're Kind of a Big Deal. And,
anytime.
We look forward to bumping into you at a convention this year.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's
awesome, buddy.
Awesome.
Thanks, buds.
Take care, guys.
Okay, take care.